Guys, what's happening, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to me and Skinny's joint review of the Marvels. Yes, we both went out and seen it. Right, I went to an earlier screening and seen it. I don't know what I was thinking, and Skinny just recently seen it here. He's already nodding his head. And I mean, we're just going to jump right into this movie review here of the Marvels, right? Like Neil DaCosta, the director, Marvel's last MCU based movie of 2023 here before we get presumably Deadpool 3, unless that gets pushed back sometime. And we just concluded with Loki, which we may touch a little bit on this video, on this review of the Marvels, but for the most part, we're just going to stick to the Marvels. And off the bat, Skinny, I'm gonna jump right into it, and I'm gonna say the Marvels had like promise, like it started off strong, right? Like it had me initially hooked and interested to, and just looking at how how was Captain Marvel and Kamala Khan and Monica Rambeau, how are they going to get out of this entanglement that they found themselves in with all their powers kind of jumbled up together. I mean, the movie again starts off strong, y'all. Like the movie started off strong, but it really lost me about the second act. Like the movie really lost me. What do you think? Like, how do you think? To you, did it start off strong to you? Like, did it seem like the movie was going to go on with some initial higher level of quality that many fans, myself, yourself included, we talked about this, where we thought the movie might have had like a little bit more promise than what we got. Like, what do you think? Like, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, but we have also discussed that our expectations of these movies aren't really, it's not there like we used to be excited for.
No,
So,
oh heck no, absolutely. I mean, even guys like Tony Stark in this trailer here was literally meant to get us excited for movies that had
yeah,
came better movies that came out long before this one here. Like,
right.
it's sorry to cut you off, man, but the beginning had me, but then it lost me. It started out with Captain Marvel initially chasing down the main villain or the antagonist of the movie, which we're going to talk about. But Brie Larson's Captain Marvel chasing down Dar-Benn, who is the main villain in the Marvels. We've seen it all in the trailer. She's Discount Ronin 2.0 with her little hammer and everything. And
Another villain that, you know, got more power than they should have.
oh, I mean, was she really OP? I mean, I felt like she was holding her
Yeah,
own. Like let's keep it a buck here. She was kind of holding her own against Brie Larson's against Carol Danvers,
with
Kamala
the
Khan,
quantum band, with
and
the
Monica
quantum
Rambeau
band and
with the quantum band
with the universal
hammer.
destroyed hammer.
Right. So like I get that, but like in
So
that fight scene right there, which was one of the
if
better
she
fight
ain't have if
scenes,
she ain't have that quantum band
you
or
think it
that
would have been a
hammer,
different story?
she'd have been trashed. She'd
She
have
would
been
have.
just a regular.
I mean,
Should have just been a regular old Cree.
it's kind of almost would have felt like she was just a regular old Cree.
Nah,
Now,
she was that band and that hammer enhanced her.
right, we'll talk
Cause
about the band. Like, let's move it on.
yeah,
Like, we'll keep the spoilers toward the end of this video. So,
oh
spoiler,
yeah,
we'll have a whole totally different section toward the back end of this video, spoiler section, if you will. But just kind of progressively going through the beginning, middle, end before we rain down our rating or what we thought of the Marvels. I mean, in the beginning, it starts off with Captain Marvel and Dar-Benn. She's hunting down these gauntlets, or she finds this gauntlet
right,
on a
right.
planet in one be something other. Like it doesn't even matter. They didn't really go into specifics or details on where how this gauntlet got there, but Dar-Benn gets this gauntlet, and immediately while she's activating Skitty, and I don't even know if this is really a spoiler because we kind of saw it in the trailer, but how convenient is it that Captain Marvel and Monica Rambeau touch Carol touches the artifact or whatever, and Monica comes into contact with that anomaly that was in the sky at the same time. And this is what initially triggered the branch, the connection, was it? I think so. I think this is what they're highlighting. They're telling us, man. I think
Yeah,
so.
that because they're light-based energy powers they connect with each other.
Right.
I don't how.
Exactly. Like it's loosely explained, Skit. Like they
Yeah,
don't really explain it a great deal, do they? No, I
not
mean,
at all.
loosely, it's loosely connected. Something about the fabrics, how everything is connected between different realities and multiverses, and it's kind of like fracking. Remember that she described it like fracking. The more she turned on, the more she used the gauntlets. Kind of like fracking. It just causes everything to become unstable. So that is essentially the Marvels' plan to stop Dar-Benn. And then Dar-Benn has these ambitions and motives, which I guess we'll save it for the spoiler section. But I mean, I, I
Mm.
got pretty I got pretty bored after the second act, pretty much. And the movie totally lost me once they made their way over to the all water planet Alatna and the the dance sequence and the wedding. I mean, it's very off
It
putting
it
for
felt
a comic
it
movie.
felt like I understand, that's what that planet does. That's what that planet culture is.
Yeah,
But
but
it felt like, you know what it felt like?
what?
It felt like the Sisters of Fate singing on the Aquaman scene, on Zack Snyder's.
Yeah, and that was misplaced
It
too.
just
But
felt unnecessary.
right, that
That's
was
what
totally yeah, that was
it just
misplaced
felt.
too. But
Yeah.
for this movie, I mean, that whole sequence was just unnecessary. I mean, it took me
But
completely out of
I
the
think that
film,
was
out of the
just
movie.
Brie tapping into her glee days.
Or Disney trying to tap into their Disney princess days, and she's essentially turned into a superhero Disney princess by the time
Oh
they got to this
yeah.
planet.
Spoiler, don't remember.
That's barely. I
We
mean,
didn't
if you even want to call it that, sure. But
we
I mean,
didn't we they didn't see that because that
I
was,
mean,
you
it's
know
in the
what?
trailers. No, no,
You
it's in the
remind
trailers. It's in the
it is
trailers, though. Yeah, the
where she's
whole
wearing the
because everybody
dress.
thought no, but everybody thought she was in a Bollywood scene with the
Yeah, but I'm
whole
talking
head
about the
mask on.
dress. I'm talking about
Yeah,
her
but I didn't.
dress.
Oh, yeah, she wore a dress. I'm not
That
gonna
was
say what it looked like.
definitely, you called the money on that one. That was definitely Disney superhero princess right there.
It was
That wasn't
totally
even the
unnecessary.
debate.
It was totally
But yeah,
unnecessary.
I just
I mean,
I just
there was a couple cringe moments throughout the movie. I'm not going to say a couple. I'm going to say in no exaggeration, the movie was likely 60% cringe. I'm not over exaggerating that. The movie is about 60% cringe, with the saving grace being Kamala Khan's moments and scenes with her family,
yeah,
and they're like fighting these Kree, supposed to be special
yeah,
ops, but you got Kamala
yeah.
Khan's mom giving them the work, and they're switching back and forth. I mean, that whole sequence was pretty all right. It had me kind of
I
into
ain't
it at
going
that point. I'm
front.
like, all right,
That end part, that end part when Kamala, when they're cleaning up and stuff like that, and they just keep on giving her the look,
right, yeah, they, they just yeah, right. Like
giving her
there's
the
moments
look,
like
like
that that had me like in the movie, but unfortunately, it was just moments when Kamala Khan was on screen, and yes, she did that. Oh my god, so many times that I'm like, okay, I heard it once, maybe
yeah,
twice. There really shouldn't be no more than two times. Like the joke, the gag is over at that point. Like it's not even funny. It's becoming more of a nuance, and it's annoying, and it's just totally is cinema and theater break, and it just totally takes you out of the film. Like
right,
she could have said it twice, and that would have been it. But for the most part, some of the best parts of the movie were the scenes with Kamala Khan. Like, do you disagree?
yeah,
Like, all the other scenes were kind of dry. I mean, I will give it to Brie Larson. She was not a cardboard cutout version of herself, right? Not in the slightest. Not this time around. Like, she actually did kind of come off with personality and at least a higher level of range as an actress. But that the bond between her and Monica, like the reason for them not talking was just like awful. It's god awful to have the
I do
plot centered around
feel,
that.
yeah, I do feel as though like the lack of understanding, you know what I mean?
Right,
But think about it. Marvel's known for that. Marvel's known for that. Think about it. Civil War, Tony Stark knowing about Winter Soldier
right.
and then finding out that he killed his parents, and then all of a sudden loses all thought process and wants to kill Winter Soldier. for
Right.
something that he did when he wasn't even in control of himself.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
And
Like,
it's so persistent throughout the MCU. It's becoming more and more common with these force, these force conflicts and like trying to drive a wedge between characters when it just seems superficial, like not even that big of a deal, right? Like there's a reason why Carol claim well her reason why we'll talk about it in the spoilers, but she does tell
mm,
Monica why, like, hey, this is why I wasn't there to watch you grow, or this is why I didn't tell you about your mother, or etc. Like she had a valid reason, in my opinion, for Monica to be so awkward and weird. Like they're both within the same vicinity of each other, on their own comms with each other. They can hear each other, and she's
yeah.
just like, "Oh, Carol, Auntie Carol, tell her I'm not here." Or like, why? Like, why? That was just
Well,
totally
not she
unnecessary.
was
Because
she was basically saying, I don't want to talk to her right now, like not like this after the mission. But
yeah,
I
but
mean,
even when they was inside of Kamala Khan's and them parents' house, she still was like acting weird. Like she just
yeah,
wanted to talk about business. And even the moment eventually came, it was just very forced. Like the moment
right.
eventually came, like the moment came, y'all. But it was just forced, and it didn't make much sense to drive that wedge between Monica and Carol when we knew it was going to be resolved by the end of the movie. Like why?
Yeah,
Like
I
why?
mean,
And then I mean, not only so the bonds and the connections between each of the Marvels. I mean, Kamala fangirled over Brie Larson's Captain Marvel, which I knew was going to be evident. I was one of the very few who made his way through,
yeah, but it kind of switched
through
up
the
in the
Marvels.
movie though. Like it kind of switched up. I did see a development in Kamala Khan's character when a
Right.
certain situation happened.
Right. I mean, at the end, and we see, she had her suit modified and some things added to it, and she did kind of more or less put on and just show the reason why her being there is valid. Like you could just tell by the
Right,
actress's face
right,
that she was excited to be there. Iman Vellani, like she was genuinely happy to be a part of this cast, and it showed like just through her excitement. Maybe it was twofold. Maybe she was not only excited with being in a major Marvel production that is so closely tied to the MCU, or loosely tied to the MCU at this point, and just being
mm,
there and being around Brie Larson and Teyana Paris. I'm probably butchering her name, but her right there, yeah, Monica Rambeau,
mm,
which had an
mm,
interesting arc
mm,
at the end of this
mm, mm,
movie.
mm.
But
Monica
again, I
Rambeau.
mean, the middle of the movie after that kind of lost me, and then even the action scenes just wasn't enough to save
Yeah,
the second half of this movie. Like they really felt bland and boring. And to be honest with you, it's hard to really talk about the movie without bringing up the spoilers.
yeah,
Without bringing up the
yeah. That
spoilers, I
like the
mean,
like I said, some of the action sequences could have been a lot better,
a
a
lot
lot
better.
better.
Oh, a lot better. I'm not sure
Like
what.
there was some part now, some parts in the 3-on-1 action sequence.
Yeah,
Some of those parts were okay. It was like, oh, that was nice, but
yeah, some of it.
that was it. It was like, oh, that was nice. Like
Right. The
it
initial
was
first the uncoordinated fight scene, I think, was one of the strongest. Why? Because they were uncoordinated with their attacks. You know what I mean?
right,
Like they had
right,
prior no prior coordination, or they didn't do the training montage where they're trying to figure
right, right,
everything
right.
out together. It was just a matter of switching, and you kind of was unsure how each of them were going to react and respond once they switched. So their reactions were generally dope and interesting at that point. I'm like, yo, you might got me. Like you might be on to something, but for the most part, it just didn't do it, man. It just wasn't there, Skid.
Right.
Especially not in the beginning. I mean, Dar Ben just wasn't all that much of a compelling villain. It just really
I
wasn't.
mean, it's another like I said, like a villain, like it's like Steppenwolf. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like a villain that didn't last long, died,
Well,
and I mean, in the comics, it didn't last long. Darben did not last long.
right.
Darben was a he in the comic books, and when he died, which was again quickly,
Right.
He was absorbed by the supreme intelligence.
Mm.
So like that's the whole thing. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
it's just certain
Well,
things.
it goes to show that once again, Marvel drops the bomb on their villains. Like we've yet to really get a solid follow of villain like we got with with Thanos, maybe to say the least.
That's
I mean,
it.
he was
Like,
bad.
that was it.
Thanos had a lot of movies and a lot of opportunities to get good though. To get great.
And then like the only like I say what the only villain. Yeah, we didn't get a fight. That's the only one.
Yeah,
Thanos.
I
I mean,
know. I know,
we
Steve.
can't call Loki a villain.
Not anymore anyway.
And yeah, you know what I'm saying?
Not
So
not anymore anyway.
and then it's like all the other villains got offed,
Yeah.
with the exception of one, but you really don't know. I mean, he's a specter, I guess. I don't know. Red Skull, you know what I
Right. Yeah, I
mean?
mean
Like
but he's supposedly bound, by the
he's
planet it's
bound
stuck
to that
on.
place. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
but
it's
so I
like
mean he can't even really be one.
you
But
can't really yeah.
in the
But
Marvels, it just that crack just continues to show, right? Like it continues to show the villain just isn't all that interesting and compelling. And we'll jump into what Dar-Ben's motivations were in the spoiler section. But here, I mean, with the Marvels, y'all, with the Marvels, I mean, the box office numbers are already out. It's one of the worst. It's one of the worst box opening weekends in the MCU. So
mm,
there goes all you need to know about it right there. It's not going to do very well at the box office. I at least thought it'd do good, maybe a little better than the Flash. But the way it's panning is actually going to be it's going to finish at least in its first initial weekend is a little under the Flash, and that's telling. That's very telling for an MCU movie. But everything of the grade it got, it's representative of the entire movie. Skinny and I talked about it off camera, behind, and we have slightly different scores. But for me, I'm gonna go ahead and just rate this one so we could talk about the spoilers because that's really where the meat and bones of the movie is, if you will. But for me, I'm gonna have to give the Marvels a 5 out of 10. Right, 5 out of 10 for me. It's barely a passable movie. Anything over a five would indicate that it's passable, but it's barely a passable movie at 5 out of 10. The scenes with Kamala Khan and her family kind of provided some of the best humor in an MCU movie to date. I thought Thor, Snore, and Thunder was exactly what the title should indicate it was. Quantum Mania wasn't all that funny. Guardians Volume 3 was semi funny, which I just recently watched again. Was semi funny, but other than, Guardians, which is typically a rom com, humor laced movie, I mean, the Marvels didn't provide enough of that. Or when it was trying to introduce humor, it was cringe as like it was really cringe. So to me, it's gonna have to be a
yeah, like
5 out of 10.
when
There
they
was
got
maybe there was maybe
mm,
one or two action sequences that saved it, maybe one and a half the first part, and maybe all the ones combined towards the end because the fight scene, the end fight scene was just awful. We'll talk about it in the spoiler reviews. It's gonna be a 5 out of 10 for me. Skitty, what's your final verdict on the Marvels? What would you give it?
I mean, I guess a 5.5. Like I said, I enjoyed it a little bit. I did get a little bit of the humor. It was some of the humor for me was enjoyable. Now, again, I do agree with you about it being cringy. You know,
Right.
um,
That's all over. A lot, a lot of
yeah, that's not
that's
even
out
a
the
debate.
bag. That's out the bag.
That's yeah, yeah. But
Yeah.
again, certain stuff I did enjoy. I did now, even though I thought the musical number was unnecessary, it was kind of humorous, about how they were trying to clown her about being a princess and stuff like that.
Right. That's so
Don't
long.
tell nobody.
But think about it. We could have had that without the dance number because she just could have came in
Yeah,
and said, "Yeah, I'm a
yeah,
princess. I got married. Yada yada. You don't
yeah,
want to know." And
yeah,
they could have just
yeah.
ran with the
We
gag
could have
there.
had we could have
We we could have had that without the dance number, right?
right, right,
But that's a good point. I mean, so you give it a
right.
5.5 out of 10. I give it
So
a five. I mean, that averages out to probably
yeah,
about a five, and that might even be a little forgiven. But that's our spoiler free review of the Marvels. Stick around for the spoiler section towards the end of this video. All right, we'll see you there. All right, welcome to the spoiler section of the Marvels. And I really think this is actually going to be pretty quick, Scott, because there's really about 3 or 4 key spoilers to kind of really bring up because not a lot really happened, if you will, in the spoiler section. I mean,
No, and you
Darbin's
know what?
motivations.
Yeah, go ahead,
Yeah,
because
let me just
it
touch
was
on
something.
Darbin's motivations really quick
Mm-hmm.
because I think that that was kind of one of the weakest plot points. If maybe they were just a floating spacefaring group of Kree and they wanted to exact revenge by just destroying other civilizations and colonies. That way they are too slave to the stars like they are now versus, oh, we want to take your resources and use the the quantum gauntlets to transfer water and air and a whole sun. I'm like, I understand that she wanted to get revenge on Brie Larson, but come on, man, that's a little obnoxious,
How
if you
you
will, to
gonna
be able
have
to
the
do that.
quantum bands without Quasar, dog? This is my
Yeah,
that is my
but just
issue. I mean, I feel you, but it's just I mean, now that's the Marvel fan in me. You know what I mean? When I heard quantum bands, I was like, Quasar, how the did they get a hold of them? But I mean, again, they're based on comics. They're not the comics, so it's going to be somebody's different continuity. But that is so nerve wracking, yo.
yeah,
They
but
had a whole. They could have had it's like
that
characters. Go ahead.
Skitty is stuck on these quantum gauntlets, but we're talking
Go
about
ahead.
the spoilers though.
I know.
Don't overthink it
I'm
because
sorry.
again, the gauntlets were introduced in Miss Marvel.
Yeah, but
Not in the
they were.
Marvels. And it was
It was
in
a.
their origins
Go
were
ahead. Go
kind
ahead.
of loosely introduced there, right? But
Yeah, they were
the
introduced as but were they name dropped as Quantum Band
they were name dropped as the quantum bands. Yes, they were.
in Miss
And
Marvel?
in Miss Marvel, I believe they were when she met the Jinn, her ancestors or what have you. They had
Uh-huh.
described it and they told her because not even. But here's the thing: I believe Kamala Khan didn't even realize there were two gauntlets because remember in the movie when she saw Dar-Benn using a gauntlet, she covered hers up when they first transitioned there, and she ended up on
Yeah.
the Kree ship. She kind of covered them up, but I mean, that's just one of the other spoilers, which wasn't even really a spoiler, but Dar-Benn wanting to reactivate her planet's sun and steal all these resources from other planets was essentially her motivator. It is very Thanos-esque, right? Related to Thanos, all about resources, or I gotta, it's all about planetary ideals and just this mindset that I need to take from others or what have you. It was a mess. It was a mess only towards the end. Or, I mean, I will say I watched it really to make my way towards the end. That's simply
Yeah.
because, of course, the
And
only value that MCU movies hold now are the
post
cameos
credits. That's it.
and post credits,
That's
but for
it.
the most part, the cameos, which you kind of keep wanting to go back because you're hoping it's going to show you or highlight something that's going to be that's better that's coming in the future, but we really didn't get it. We
Mm-mm.
really didn't get it. I
I'm
mean,
gonna tell you.
we kind of did with the end of the Marvels, and it was twofold. There were like two different branching storylines that were spoiled towards the end of the movie. Now, one of them was the cameo by Kate Bishop, who was in the Hawkeye show. If you made your way through that, some of these are good watches, y'all. Like if you got Disney Plus and you got like a few moments to spend, or maybe a few hours to kill, or it's the holiday season coming up, and maybe you'll be home, or maybe you just want something on in the background. It's not a bad watch. Just don't take it too serious. But did appear, Kate Bishop did appear on the Hawkeye show. So it was cool to
Mhm.
see her in this big plan or this big story arc that's going to be, coming up here in the Young Avengers. So it was cool to see her. And you got Kamala Khan. She's all talking to her, like Nick Fury did at the end of Iron Man 1, which again, how would
Yeah,
she know? But
that
how
was
would
cool.
she know? That was cool, but how would she know that's how Nick Fury talked to Tony unless he told her word for word, this is how I did it. I sat in the dark in a chair and I said, I'm putting together a team and yada, yada, and through him. But the whole scene was really dope and cool to see Kate Bishop. Then we got that god awful fight scene where Darben, she does like the Wonder Woman pose with the gauntlets and it tears open a hole in reality. Monica Rambeau uses her powers, I guess, to push it. She couldn't pull it closed. I guess she had to be on the side that was tore in order to kind of push it back to fix the hole, which should have caused an incursion. That's a whole nother conversation and
My
topic as
thing
well.
is that why couldn't she close it from the other side?
Because they punched it, and so it created so the damage was going inward to the other side. So, like she said,
Yeah,
they have to
so
punch the hole. So, if you want to punch something you already punched, you got to go on the other side to punch it back. Because trying to punch it from the same side you punch it is only going to make it bigger. I'm not
yeah,
defending the ludicrousy behind it. Trust me. I'm just saying
yeah,
it's
but
just as
you
dumb.
did you see how she put it together though? She used the light to like close it up.
But yeah,
Like why couldn't she use the light?
first they had to keep in mind. First they had to juice her up.
Yeah, why couldn't she
First,
use the light to pull it? You know what I'm saying? To pull it
because
instead of pushing.
she had to go on the side that had the edges, and that was on the other side of the tear. It's like if you poke a hole, if you take a piece of paper and
Right.
you poke a hole through it, the
Uh-huh.
paper that was damaged is going to be on the other side of the paper. So if you want to
Right.
try to fix the hole back up, you have to go on the other side of the paper and kind of try to fix it so it's not as bad. That's why she had to go on the other side. You can't
I
punch
feel
it.
I I
You can't
feel you,
punch
but
it
what I'm saying
on the
is
side
that
they first punched it on.
like it just looked like the light could have been used to pull it instead of push it.
It wouldn't have went back. I guess it wouldn't have seared correctly then, because
Uh,
again she says she had to be on the other side. Again, I'm not defending it, but again,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
if
I
you
know
poke
what
a
you're
piece
saying.
of paper, the paper is now going to be pushed out on the other side of the paper. So how could you effectively pull it back if you're on the wrong side? Like you have to be on the other side of the paper to push those, those little bits back into the hole to kind of close up
Right,
their
right.
reality. Again, I'm not defending it, but essentially when they did that, it opened up another reality. And lo and behold, Skitty, who was in that reality? Who was there? Who was in that reality?
Beast
Beast
from the
and
X-Men.
Monica Rambeau's mom was in there.
Now,
At least
was
just
she?
not
Who
again,
was
no,
she though?
wasn't her mom. Monica said she said, I didn't recognize you. I think we're unsure who exactly it is because she's she could be Captain Marvel in that reality
That's what I'm thinking.
and just don't have the daughter. She just could be Captain Marvel in that reality because we did not have a
Right.
Captain Marvel in the Fox reality, right?
No.
No, we didn't. So I think that reality that we saw Beast in is a totally different reality from the Fox X-Men, but it is the X-Men. I think it could be the ultimate universe, to be honest with you. That's all the key spoilers. I mean, we might have missed something, but that's essentially the gist of the movie. I gave it a 5 out of 10. Skitty gave it a 5.5 out of 10. I mean, it's somewhere along the lines there. It might even be lower depending on your standards, but it does have a little too much cringe, and I'm just about ready to leave Phase 5 behind in the win, and
Man,
just
that's
kind of
even if
pick
Phase
up.
5 even get up. Like,
Yeah, I mean, we got what Deadpool 3 and Captain America 4 was pushed back, but we got Deadpool 3 and who else knows if
don't
Blade
forget,
get
Blade
what
was pushed back to God knows when.
right. So we got a lot of pushbacks, and that's because of the SAG after strikes and the
Stuff
Doubting the
got
Writers Guild strikes.
canceled.
But
That the
those
unnamed projects got canceled.
right, but both those are
Fantastic
over
Four.
with.
Is
So
that still coming out?
it might, Skitty. Who knows at this point? What Marvel's doing? Who knows? Who knows?
Like, where are
But
all
all
the
right,
movies?
but all right, y'all. That's all we got for this one. That was the Marvels review and just quick recap. We're gonna give it a 5 out of 10. Wait till it's on Disney Plus if Disney Plus even still exists
Yeah,
by the
I will.
time it's
Yeah,
available on there. It's
don't
definitely a
buy it
Disney
if
Plus
it. Don't.
watch. But
Yeah,
yeah, this is
just
going to be
watch it at
wait.
home.
don't go see it in the theater. Me and
No,
Skitty both agree there.
it's
But all right,
not
y'all,
worth
that's
it.
no. But that's all I got for this one, y'all. It's been your boy Lab and Skitty.
Skitty.
Both here. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe if you haven't yet. We do hope to catch you all in the next one. So until then, be easy.
Deuces.